We've arrived at Drytown, founded in 1848, oldest township, first in which gold was discovered in Amador County. Its memorable town hall and other picturesque structures remain, and the town was not dry as the name implies. There's actually ponds and a creek that runs through town. It contained 26 saloons during its heyday. 200 people, elevation 600. 200 people, elevation 620 feet. Nice little creek. Very nice, very nice. I won't leave you behind. Okay, so there's two cemeteries in town. St. Stephen's is open to the public, and the old Pioneer Cemetery is closed. Still disputed or banned by the cattle rancher who won't let people in, Tammy. Sid's, you've seen the sign. So we'll go up here, folks. I'm going to light up the grill. I have some sausage and stuff. Like I said, the California and these counties around here, they treat these cemeteries like parks where you can walk your dog, bring your kids, all that stuff. Nobody's going to come up here. We closed the gate. There's a lot of grassy knolls. Maybe we can toss the football. Small little cemetery. Still worth checking out. The cemetery. Plus I got some really cool history. See? Benches and stuff. Oh yeah, yeah. Right here. Your job, you get the grill out, the propane out. We're gonna get some sausage started. Some sausage and some potato salad and fruit. It's gonna be exciting. Some of the tombstones here date back to 1850. There's about 100. Okay, I know, I lit it. There's 155 grave sites here. A lot of unmarked, at least legible ones. The ones that aren't legible are probably the very older tombstones. But Drytown's, this is an old ghost house. It dates back to 1848. It's very small, only a few buildings stand. And then if you go a couple miles outside the town, you have New Chicago, which we just visited, and that'll be included with our videos because I consider the two the same. New Chicago was a settlement just outside Drytown, and all the miners came here to drink because New Chicago didn't have a lot of saloons and hotels and entertainment, as opposed to Drytown, which was just a hop, skip, and 15-minute walk on foot. And so one was a camp and one was more like a boom town. But this town experienced a lot of tragedy. Like I said, within a year after the strike in Coloma, this town was born. Some people say it had a lack of water. I've heard other stories where it actually had a lot of water. A lot of fires, a lot of droughts. Obviously, it's drought-stricken right now, so it's always been a fire hazard. And when the gold ran out, people left. And a lot of people felt that the town was obsolete. Yeah. When this town died due to the lack of gold and water, by 1860 a lot of people went to Jackson, which we just previously came from, and I lived there for a few months. But it was founded in 1848, and there are a few buildings that date back to the 1850s, not many. The brick building is thought to have been the mine office for George Hearst, father of the William Randolph Hearst. There's the Lemoyne House of 1857, a board and brick home. There's supposed to be an adobe home. I only seen a foundation. And we'll see what else we can find. You know, there's a lot of history, and I'm going to go through it when I walk through the cemetery. But you get the idea. 1848, a mining town went bust. Everybody moved on to Jackson, Angels Camp, larger towns that were more profitable as far as mining and business goes. And this town still managed to keep alive despite all the fires, tragedy, and death. However, today, you know, there's only a few select buildings in this St. Stephen's Cemetery, which you see before me. And we're cooking out of the grill. We're having sausages. Pretty cool. Not a park around here, so second best place is a cemetery under this old tree amongst the first pioneers who came to this region. They'll probably be happy for us visiting and spending some time here today. That was some damn good Montreal sausage. I've never barbecued in the cemetery, and it was one of the best choices I made today. Barbecuing in Drytown, one of the oldest cemeteries in Amador County. Ghost, spirits, and good food. What more could I want? It's nice. It's a really nice cemetery. A lot of the graves no longer stand here, as most of you are aware. You know, I might have 100 graves, but only 50 are visible. It's the only crypt in the cemetery is a Miller crypt from 2009. EMF detector. As I was saying earlier, and then my sausage was done, in the spring of 1848, Mexican, Indian, and American miners had searched for gold along Dry Creek. So the mining began in 1848 after the gold discovery in Coloma. And the town had grew around Dry Creek. In the summers it was dry, in the winters and the spring the water did flow. It's a lot drier probably now due to drought. But it says that the town never ran dry. There was at one time, at least, in the 1850s, when there was 200 to 300 miners, 25 to 30 cabins and tents, and 26 saloons in its heyday. So, you know, yeah, the town never went dry as far as liquor goes, maybe water. But it had butcher shops, stables, saloons, a lot of placer gold along the creek. In 1852, the town was an established community. It was growing. Post office was established. I guess according to a diary report, a man by the name of Doble's diary, he said there was 200 to 300 houses, and Charles Crane was the first postmaster. So around 1852, the post office was established. In 1856, the town reached its peak. They had quartz gold deposits, so they were mining gold, they were mining quartz, and there was about 4 mills by 1857. The first stamp mill was built also in 1852, and a school and a small Catholic church, which was located on this site. I don't see the church anymore, I don't know. The schoolhouse still stands. The butcher shop marble floors, they were cut from the Fiddletown quarry, which is up the road. We have visited Fiddletown, but I plan on working more extensively with it. There's also the Vallecito quarry, which is about 30 miles maybe from here. There's an old well located where the old hotel once stood, and then it burned twice in the 1850s. The first blaze occurred in 1855. The second was intentionally set, and it was when the Chicano or Hispanic section of town was burned in revenge for the Rancheria Massacre in 1855. It's where 6 people, all Americans almost, including a woman, were slaughtered by a group of Mexican bandits. And of course, the locals had lashed out and burnt down the Mexicana section of town. There was a lot of Mexican miners and miners from Chile. A lot of Chilean miners in this region. A lot of these camps we went to today, like New Chicago, were built by Chileans. Here we have a wooden epitaph. It's probably one of the oldest graves in this cemetery. Probably 1850. It's silly. And you know, a lot of them are, there's brick plots or encasements. What? Where? Yeah, or something else might come out of the woods. Wolverine or badger, you never know. I've seen plenty of deer today. I've seen at least 15 different deer at 15 different places, including vultures, turkeys. Very common in this area.
Yeah, we've seen a crane.
Oh yeah, lots. Ducks, geese, everything today. It's been a lot of butterflies, natures, owls. Yeah, it's nice. I hear a lot of hawks. I've seen some eagles today. It's been a pleasant day. And today we've visited Black Chasm Caverns, which completes our quest or our research in this area. This is pretty bad, Gallardi. Look, very bruised and broken. But yeah, that's abusement. Yep, that's vandalism. I mean, this thing's broken in half. And I'm going to talk about the deaths in a little bit. There's 2 deaths that are kind of relevant here. I don't know if the people from the massacre are buried here that occurred by the Mexican bandits, but there was a lot of hate towards other ethnicity. Like, for example, the Irish were not well liked. The Chinese could even come out because they'd be often hung or abused. You know, men would drink at the saloon, see a Chinese worker or miter who worked for less. They were very jealous because they often took most of the employment and wages away from the Europeans. And often they were hung, murdered. You know, same with the Mexicans. Look, these ones are just 2 little broken stones in here. But they're old. Look at that. Any EMF readings? Nope. Pretty quiet here, huh? I think we'll get some EVPs possibly. But it's an old cemetery, folks. So we come around the corner, we have another, there seems to be a child's face out here, but this is see the cross? That's a Knights Templar type of cross. Probably whoever had this child that passed away was a Mason. You see this, you also see it a lot on some of the other fraternal organizations where you have the Iron Cross on there. A lot of people buried here are Hispanic, not all. Jesus Smith. Yeah, see, Hispanic. Here's a grave from Ireland, native of Ireland. Mahonigan. Oh, I have a story about this. Or Peter McCabe. See McCabe? It says Peter McCabe. Let me tell you something. He was born in 1833, died in 1863. He was a native of the Colorado, Mahonigan, Ireland. Monaghan, he was a native of Monaghan, Ireland. Was killed in a wagon accident on the road between here and Ione. Then you have another one. I don't know if it's legible, but if you look, there's Manuel King. He lived in 1829 to 1864. He was one of the 100 people out of 170 that either went missing or were killed when an explosion on the steamboat called the Washoe in Rio Vista had taken hold, a fire had taken hold of it, and a lot of men had drowned and passengers. He's also buried here. Most of the bricks have been taken by locals and vandals to be used on their walkways. It's terrible, but it's true. It happens all the time in ghost towns. A turkey dinosaur? Mm-hmm. Dude, they're heaven, babe. Oh yeah, I see the baby. Oh yeah, I see the turkey. So come down here. Most of the walls are crumbling or gone, or the hillside's kind of consumed or buried them. Like I said, there was 155 burials here. Only about 80 of the graves are probably visible, I'd say, after walking through it totally. Here's a grave off in the corner, look. See it? It's got like a wreath around it, dude. If you're here with me, give me a sign you are here. Please talk into the recorder. Look, there's a creepy wreath around here. You see that? And then there's a broken stone. Look, you can't even read this, dude.
I don't know what's that.
You can't even read it here. What's it say? Oh, yeah. Giuseppe Leone died 1936. It's not as old as I thought. The reason why we're spending a lot of time in cemetery is that there's only a few structures in town that are remaining. So cemetery is the best option because it symbolizes who used to live here. I mean, in this town, who came to this town first. These are all the older settlers. And there are some graves in the 1900s, but very few. Most of these people were buried here in the 1800s and had businesses and stores and saloons and things of that sort, and were miners. No, dude.
I can't do it.
Then don't do it. Don't break a leg.
Action Jackson, you ready?
Action Jackson?
Ready for this?
Yes, Action Jackson. Oh, come on. I wish I was young again. Action Jackson. Here's one. That's the pedal. It's see how it's, look at that. Beautiful ivy carved on it, but there's no top piece.
I know, because it goes right there.
Yeah. They just put it down here. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep people out of a burial ground. I mean, it's a place of peace and religion or theology and honor and you know, in history, and it deserves to be researched by genealogists and so forth, and even paranormal investigators like me who could do a little story and document what stones still stand and all that on our website. We're almost done. Let's take a few more pics over here. And then I got a fire bell story, but I could handle that or produce that myself. What we're going to do, folks, is I'm going to park downtown. We're going to visit the school, about 4 or 5 other historic structures. I'll do a little more history coverage. I'll walk around, I'll video record or produce. And then, of course, you know, we'll definitely take some photos for our website, some black and white, some nice pictures. It's on the highway. It's a little busy downtown because of the trucks and cars speeding through, so I'm going to have to do my best to not be hit by any vehicles, which is always my fear. Because, you know, they come flying through here. There's no sidewalks. This town's a place of tragedy. People died in wagon accidents and were buried here. Had a lot of stickers in my damn feet today, too. Look, there's a piece of wall missing here.
Yeah.
Look at that. Where'd the wall go? So we're almost done with the cemetery. Not very large, but it's nice. We had a nice cookout here. I wanted to start off with the Drytown Cemetery. It's the most historic site within the town. It's the oldest site. It came before the buildings. Oh, it's buried.
Yeah.
It fell over. Now it's all underground, under the dirt. Yeah, I see it. This place is really in peril. You never know if you get a picture of a ghost, too, in your photos. So it's always good to take pictures and do EVPs. Hey, you got CBMF? Press it.
I do. I've been.
Anybody hear me? If you're hearing me, give me a sign you are here. Please talk into the recorder. Maybe give us a sign on the EMF. Show us your energy, that you're present. You know what? They may not talk here, but when I go home, they'll probably follow us. But you got to see New Chicago. It's a mining camp just outside of here. And you got to see Drytown. Both very wealthy gold mine camps or towns back in its heyday. Yeah. You see the walls cracked, it's separating. It is going to fall. You can tell it's going to fall. Brother Tarico, our darling. Huh, wow. It's very nice of you. Put the American flag on that veteran's grave. There you go. Very nice of you. We always do what we can to help others. I mean, we're not here to disrespect or desecrate the graves. We're here to fix them up, do some research, and beloved husband, father, Mark Allen, 1996. We don't really work on new graves, work on the historic ones. However, he had put the flag that had blown away. He's a veteran, and so that was very nice of him to do. Stone looks like it's broke. They salvaged it. So that's about it for the cemetery, folks. I'm going to do a fireman story before we leave at the Bell, which is straight ahead. We're going to pack it up. We're going to go do downtown, Drytown. It's not going to take long. I'll do a little history walkthrough in and out of the alleys of the abandoned, not abandoned, but historic buildings. Most are restored. Most are open for business. But at one time, they may have served as a mining office, a saloon, a place where a shootout happened. And they're very much in great shape. Like the buildings at Jackson, at Angel's Camp, at Fiddletown, and all these other places we've been. There was a theater located in Drytown called Piper's Playhouse. And, you know, it was pretty historic. However, the Clay Pipers purchased the house across Spanish Street from the theater, and they constructed a dorm addition and used it as a base of operations on show days. Well, there was a fire in 1985. The theater was completely restored or renovated. And then they added a second story to the Piper Playhouse. The Clay Pipers continued performing theater, and they closed their doors in 1994. And the theater was sold in 2010. I don't know what it was for. However, in early 1960, the Clay Pipers purchased a fire engine for Drytown. Firetown had a lot of fires. They didn't have an engine, right? So they purchased a red Ford one-ton pickup truck. It had a 400-gallon water tank and pump. And they constructed a fire engine, which was just a garage, like most of these structures you see in these small mining camps. They'll have a little garage with a fire engine. It was at Spanish Street and New Chicago Road, which is just around the corner from here. And in 1963, 3 men volunteered, and it became the Drytown Fire Department. I believe this is the fire bill right here. I'll have to look at it more extensively. And under the fire chief in San Francisco transplant, Bob Brown was called out 3 times and saved 2 of the 3 homes involved. The third had caught fire before Eddie calls had came in. And they were able to prevent a propane tank from exploding and a spread of the fire surrounding the grassy fields, and eventually it could have consumed the entire town. And in 2010, this fire engine was stolen or nowhere to be found, and the fire station building was fitted with doors and had a for rent sign on it, and I believe that's around the corner, and I'll try to film it if I see it. I believe this is the old fire bell. It could be the town bell, or the school bell, but I believe this is the old fire bell. Usually on the fire stations, they have a bell, mediocre size, and you'd ring the bell, and basically the men in town would get their fire gear on, or geared up, suited up. They'd grab the fire truck, and they'd go to the point of the fire. You didn't have 911, you had fire bells. This is one of them. And it could be, like I said, the school bell, but I've seen a lot of fire bells and the architecture of them. And generally, if they had even a little garage that had a fire truck or a wagon, you'd hang the bell right above the doors. Just pull the string. Fire, fire. People in town could walk up, pull the string. Fire, fire. Could be heard anywhere in town, and the firemen would arrive to the scene and put out the fire. Sure, we got more turkeys coming through. There's a lot of flowers in nature. So here's our deal. We'll stop at the schoolhouse. The old firehouse is at the corner, but it's no longer a firehouse. That's the fire bell. And 3 men were on the fire truck team, and in the mid-1900s, you ring the bell, they'd all come to service because they could hear it around town. And the theater company, there was a theater here, they bought the fire truck because this town kept burning down, and fires were killing people. And like in the 1800s, Mexican bandits slaughtered people right here where the well is, where we'll be going. And so in return, the white man came back and burnt half of the town. They had different segregated sections. They had Mexican town, Chinatown. They burned all Mexican town and burned down. There was always revenge. And so some of the people buried here, there's a guy buried here that never was found or burned on a steamboat, Washoe. There's another guy that was in a wagon accident, an Irish immigrant up on the hill. A lot of history here. It's a good place to start before we go downtown. What's left of downtown. We may just walk and take a few pics and be done. So we're going to be out of here. We had a nice little sausage fest. It was a sausage fest. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a woman here. It was not a sausage fest. The sausage was not here, totally.
I had no sausage. So.
She had no sausage. I had all the sausage. With cheese. Spicy cheese.
Guess what?
What?
You like your women how you like cheese, old and nasty.
No, dude. So St. Stephen's Cemetery, we're done. We're going to go move on to other parts of Drytown. It's a nice shady little cemetery. It's on a grassy knoll. If you go to Drytown and Gold Country, it's a magical place. You could see it's very dry. Yes, if this starts on fire, it could lose its last 5 or 6 remaining structures. Cemetery's in peril. If you come here, do not litter, clean up, help out. Understand that these are the people that made Drytown possible, and they lived tragic lives a lot of times. This is Lord Rick. Peace. Always be respectful, folks, and try to lock and relock the gate when you're in and out of this place. Like Jared's doing. It's awesome that we were able to go here to see if I could get a picture of the front. Bye.
Stop.
I'll just pick it out of it. Okay, son.